Out of the Ordinary Insights, brought to you by Investec Specialist Bank.
Hello and a warm welcome to the very first episode of the brand new season of Captains of Industry. I'm your host, Bronwyn Nielsen. Our inaugural guest in the hot seat this evening is the CEO of Cell C, Alan Knott-Craig. Alan, thanks so much for joining me.
Real pleasure.
You've been 2 months in the hot seat at Cell C, and already we're starting to see news flow coming out of that fold. Firstly, how does it feel to be back after a 3-year sojourn?
I'm enjoying it. I had a rest, I had a good break, and it's nice to be back. I'm having fun. Yeah.
When I talk about the news flow, one of the first moves was obviously to cut the prepaid tariff by some 34%, and that had your competitors responding immediately. Vodacom has come up with a very similar offering, but you're still ahead of the game because yours is a per second billing rather than a per minute billing. Is this your intention, to be disruptive to the market, to compete heavily on cost and aggressively?
Well, we have to compete in just about every single area. So and price is one of them. So we've got to make sure that our products are nicely crafted. So what we try to do with the products is make sure that they're simple, number one, so people can really understand them. So kind of no T's and C's. And we need to make the price as low as we possibly can. And that's what we've done with data, with prepaid, with a number of products, and we have quite a few more coming down the tube. So that's one area. The distribution channels we've been beefing up, and we've got our relationships back in place with them. Our network we're building very quickly. We cover about 92% of the population already, so it's quite a lot. And we're rolling out about 120 new stations every month. And we've got to make sure that our IT is up to scratch, make sure our customer care is up to scratch, make sure that the company is properly streamlined and organised to size and so on.
You've been quoted widely in the media as saying that your priority right now is to get the platform correct.
Yeah.
That you said is going to take 12 to 18 months.
I think it'll take 12 months for me to get every little thing fixed and working properly. And unless and until the entire machine is really working like a well-oiled machine, it's you're always slightly vulnerable. But I can't do nothing in the meantime. So we've got to find a balance between getting the basics fixed and get them fixed quickly. I think we can probably do it in less than 12 months. But we've also got to try and be a little bit innovative in the consumer's face, in the public's face earlier than that.
The $180 million injection from Auger is obviously going to help considerably in terms of making that platform and perhaps the investment into the platform much, much easier.
Yes, I mean, it gives the company also a lot more credibility in terms of, getting financing outside the company. I mean, if the shareholders are confident in the company, then they put money into the company, and it's equity, so it's not a shareholder's loan, it's pure equity into the company. And I think that gives everyone's comfort, including ourselves that work in the company, so that we can build a company, based on shareholders that trust us. And I think they do trust us. So.
Now, Auger has about 70% of Cell C. Have you obviously been negotiating with that deep equity holding in terms of talking about your strategy, what's going to happen? Because we know that just prior to your taking over in the hot seat, Cell C has been under criticism for changing strategy, changing marketing plans, and obviously service has been questionable.
I think all those things are correct, and I don't think we're trying to do any huge new strategy. We really just want to do the basics, and at the end of the day, the consumer wants a good network, number one. They want a good price. They want a price that they can understand. They want a good customer care. They want to be sure that their accounts are correct, and those are really basics. It's not really a great strategy. It's just kind of get the basics right, and the consumer will probably be 90% happy.
You must have put targets on the ground, and if we look at current market share in South Africa, we've got Vodacom sitting with about 49%, and we've got MTN at around about 35%, and Cell C coming in at 13.7, 14%. How quickly do you think you can impact that market share?
Look, I have to say it's tough. Now that I'm on the other side of the fence, if you like, Vodafone is a formidable machine. It's not easy to crack that giant. And MTN are also extremely well-run companies. So these two companies are tough to beat. There's no question about it. Tougher than I thought, but not unbreakable. Not that I want to break them, but you know what I mean. Not impenetrable. So I think that we will, and we can make a difference also to our market share, but it's tough.
I didn't mention Asia. They've got about 1.9% of market share. Perhaps that's low-hanging fruit for you?
I think ATA and Telkom, I'm not entirely sure that they've really figured out where they want to be or what they want to do. I think there is talk about the KT deal happening or not happening. I think that will probably change the direction of the company if it happens. But they're not really on our radar right now. Vodacom and MTN are on our radar.
Alan, news flow out this morning is that Cell C is going to be cutting 12% of its workforce. That's obviously part of re-strategizing from your side in terms of containing costs. How is this process going to roll out?
Well, we started this week. We cannot give consumers good prices unless we're sure that our costs are under control. And costs, there are many costs, and we address a wide range of costs, but ultimately people are one of the costs. And that's the sad part. I've never retrenched anybody in my life, so this is kind of new territory for me. But we started this week, and it's difficult. I would say that's the most difficult thing I'm doing.
We always talk about a CEO's first 100 days at a company, and often much is made of that in the media. You've been there now just under 60 days. What can we expect for the next 40? More dramatic moves on the pricing front. I see you have also said that contract prices are going to come down, pretty much following the prepaid move.
Yes, I think we'd have done pretty much all our initial moves in 100 days, so I'll keep my eye on the 100-day mark. But yes, we'll sort out the contract prices, we will sort out the small business prices, we will sort out corporate prices. We're sorting out our customer care centres to be just much better customer care. That's going to take a bit longer. That will be outside the 100 days for sure. We've built up some momentum on the network build, but that will also not be finished in the 100 days, but it's going quite well. But at least we'll have our products out, and our products will be compelling, and there'll be enough network coverage in our own company to make the consumers fairly happy.
I've had the pleasure previously of chatting to you about the book that you penned, Second is Nothing. Is that the culture that you're going to drive within the Cell C organisation? There's no room for second best.
It has to be the culture. We have to be at least as good as anybody else, and preferably better. And anybody who doesn't want to be that, or anybody who doesn't have that drive or energy, is going to find it tough to work in the company. So every single person has to. If all we can do is be the same or worse than our competitors, we're not going to make it. So the people in our company have to be a cut above the rest.
You've been dubbed the tough man of the mobile industry. Is that description fitting?
I'm not very tough.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about your leadership style. Again, many captains of industry say that they surround themselves with good people. And perhaps I refer to something else that was widely speculated, and that is that you might poach people from Vodacom, people that you worked well with and trusted. Are you going to go along those lines?
Well, poach is not a word I'd use. I have been approached by a lot of people,
that want to work with you.
That would like to join us and work with us, and just for the fun of it. And the interesting thing is, hardly a single one, if any, have ever kind of come along and said, "Look, what could you pay me to work in your company?" They just come along and said, "Can we work in your company?" And a lot of them are from Vodacom, and there are some from MTN. So I think a lot of the people that worked in industry kind of 20 years ago and built the industry, and they're now in a place which is kind of a much more less exciting place, and they see Cell C as kind of a bit more exciting now, and they want to come and work in. They just want to be.
And how do you respond when people say, "I just want to come work for you," almost as though it doesn't matter what you pay me? Do you embrace them with open arms?
If they're good, yes. If they're not, no.
Let's talk about the challenges that you have got ahead of you from a Cell C perspective. As you have said, MTN and Vodacom are formidable competitors, and they are going to be tough to break. It must be difficult for you. You are basically the father of Vodacom, so it must feel a little awkward.
Not really. Vodacom is very different to the company we built. Vodacom is pretty much Vodafone these days. So it's another company. It's got a different culture, not a wrong culture, just a different culture. And I mean, I miss the people, and you know, if I'm emotional about anything, I'm emotional about the people. But the company is a company is a company. You know, that doesn't. It does less than you might think to me. You know.
Coming back to the 3-year break that you had, did you know that you were going back into telecommunications, or did you have a look at other opportunities before you made this decision on Cell C?
I didn't know I was going to work ever again. I was determined never to work again. I was, absolutely determined not to work again. My dad died last year, and I think that kind of triggered me, and I thought, I should be doing something better with my life and a bit more constructive. And I think last year, around about that time, I decided I'd go back and work. So I started looking around, and people
I'm
approached
sure the
me.
offers were plentiful.
Well, there were some offers in this country, other countries, but I wanted to be in this country if I could. And the Cell offer was kind of very attractive to me, mainly because I've been there, kind of done that. I understand that business quite well. And I thought I could make a difference, and I hope I can make a difference. I'm determined to make a difference, so we'll see.
And you, of course, are up for the challenge. We're going to a short commercial break. More with Alan Knott-Craig when we return. Stay with us.